I want everyone watching the show to watch this very, very closely and ask yourself whilst watching it, and we will talk over it, would Travers Bazuna or Kelleher have been able to save this at Turner's Cross? Dan, look at this. What an angle we have of it as well. All we need is...
Some people are listening to this as well, Johnny, so you have to describe it for
This is a corner kick coming to the back post. Colin Healy goes up for a header, and then this.
A stunning overhead kick, which it's a ground level fan angle camera from Turner's Cross, but a stunning overhead kick executed into the top corner.
And essentially what I can say to you, Colin Healy, is that look at Turner's Cross when it's heaving. The shed is absolutely packed. People are basically jumping on top of you, jumping over everyone there, and dare I say it, that's exactly what you want to get back at Turner's Cross. Good morning to you.
Good morning, how's things?
Any recollections of that, or like did you just kind of throw your foot at it and hope for the best, or what happened? Was it a fluke?
You probably could say that, yeah. No, it was just probably one of those things is that if you did it again, it probably wouldn't have come off.
Of all the goals you got in your career, that had to be the best, was it?
Yeah, I think it was. It's probably we were pushing for the league that year, and I said, listen, it was 0-0 at that time, so we were pushing to get the goal to beat Pats, and it was one of those things. Is as you said, listen, it's you don't do it every week, so it was nice when it came off. Because if it didn't come off, I would have been probably injured, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a special place, Dan, Turner's Cross, when it's heaving. You know yourself.
I love it, and I mean it's one of the regrets of this season. I'm sure we'll talk about it, that there's no team from Munster in the Premier Division. But actually, before we talk Cork City, Colin, I was just going to say, because we were just talking about him there. I mean, you are a Corkman. Corkmen are very proud of their sort of local talent. You must be pretty buzzed about Queevy and Kelleher down there. There must be a lot of pride to see someone like him, a local lad, involved in a proper global superstar Premier League game on Sunday.
No, absolutely. He's come in and he's done ever so well. He doesn't look out of place. He doesn't look out of place when he's playing there, and it's great. It's great to see another Cork player playing at the highest level, and hopefully that continues. But no, it's fantastic to see.
Because it must be it says something for even talent production in the area that there's Alameda as well too, who's from Cork. I know he's a bit older, John Egan, but there's a good sort of Cork flavour around that senior squad at the moment, which I guess gives everyone a lift. Even in what you're doing, I'm sure it's that pathway that people see to be there even at this younger age group now.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent in Cork. There is. It's just yeah, there is.
I don't know why you're smiling like you.
I just think sometimes a lot of people go to Dublin straight away and have a look at the players up there, but no, there's a lot of talent in Cork. There is, and there always has been. There's some good players, as he mentioned there. So, and there's another good young lads coming through the international setup in the underage as well. So
young Heffernan, not too bad.
Yeah. There's a lot of talent in Cork, and it's great for the younger boys now to go on and play at the highest level. And it comes back in here into our academy that we can speak to our academy players and to say, listen, you do the right things, you get rewarded, you can go on and you can play at the highest level.
So what you're saying there, Colin, is that you subscribe to that Roy Keane theory of years ago that the coaches just always looked at Dublin first. You're on board with that message, right? That's what you're
saying. Absolutely. They're probably looking and saying, listen, Cork's probably another 2 or 3 hours down the road there. We're not going down there.
Well, to be fair, people in Galway have very similar complaints at underage level, where it's like, as long as these lads around Dublin, that's grand. But there actually are players in the periphery of the country that can do well as well.
Oh, there is, yeah. And I've nothing against Dublin, no, lads, just to let you know.
Healy in that shocking anti-Dublin rant.
It's grand, you don't have any games there next year anyway.
Yeah, we started this one, yeah.
Come here, the first division though. So like, I'm a long-suffering Galway United fan, so we know what it's like in the first division. I was down Turner's Cross last season. Watford are back. Obviously, the 9 teams isn't ideal, but I've been making the point the first division has an awful lot going for it in 2022 in terms of the narrative and that.
There isn't. Even last year it was difficult. There were some good teams in the division last year, and it was difficult. This year, again, there's a lot of Munster teams in the division, so there's a lot of derbies. But it'll be a tough division to get out of next year. Obviously, with the likes of Galway, obviously Waterford coming down. So it'll be a difficult season.
As a young manager, Colin, what was the challenge of 2021 like? Because it was such a strange time. Like, you're behind closed doors for a good chunk of it. Maybe it was a bit more of a transitional season than people might have liked. We constantly speak to players from Cork about how people will stop you on the street and give you their opinion, and I'm sure at times it was pretty fraught down there. Yet you still managed to finish it. Like, there was some good crowds coming to the last couple of games. And
notable victory in Galway to screw us over as well.
You managed to let that go, Johnny. Yeah. But like you managed to finish it in as good a position as you could have, I think, maybe in terms of mood, or maybe that's the external view. But how challenging was it? Because there's obviously great demands and expectation down there. They don't want Cork to be in the first division, but like how have you found just adjusting to that?
It was difficult. I knew what I was getting into. We had a poor start. We had a very poor start, and probably caught us towards the end. It was difficult, playing down in Turner's Cross, as G said, when the fans are there to get behind the team. It's a special place to play your football. We didn't have that for probably a good 4 or 5 months. And I think when we did get it back, the younger lads thrived on that, and it created confidence within the team, and the players got better. And they loved playing in front of the fans. And as it went on in the second half of the season, I thought we were getting stronger and stronger, and the younger players, you could see it, they were growing into themselves. But the bad start, it caught us. It caught us, and listen, it's just the way it was. But what I would say is that, we started off, weren't great, but we got better and we got better. As I said, from this year, we've added some quality players into the team. Looks like we're a lot stronger than last year. So hopefully that we'll have a good season this year.
Like even when it comes to recruitment, because and we joke about the Dublin thing there or whatever, like you have brought in a couple of players, like you've sort of Aaron Bolger and James Duna and a couple of players from the Dublin scene. But then at the same time, I think there was maybe a game last season, like there was, I don't know, a large number of your squad had come through the academy there at Cork. Like it was double figures in your match day squad. And like given your background, even coming through the underage, is it sort of a, there's a dual focus there. Like you want the best squad on the pitch, but you want to keep that sort of pathway there too. So was that part of the balancing act with the job?
I suppose it was just probably where we were at the last year. We had to go with the younger players, and obviously I worked with the younger players for the last 2 or 3 years within the academy. But the only thing about it is when you put a lot of younger players in together, you're probably missing that experience, those players on the pitch to listen, when to manage the game in difficult situations. But they've come in, they've grown, they've become good players. So they can hold their heads up high that they went on and they had a good season last year. But the challenge now for this year is, can they go one better? Can they go and be better than what they were last year? Because it's hard when you got a lot of younger players in together, first time playing in front of crowds. When you're not winning, the disappointments, you can see confidence is down. Is how do you get them out of that? And so there was a lot of learning last year for the players and for myself as well.
Yeah, do you ever doubt yourself as a young manager when you're having a ropey enough start to the season? Do you have to have, I presume, that self-belief that this will work out, I'm doing the right thing, just give it time here? Or if self-doubt creeps in, is that a bad thing? No, it's not. It's not. Like,
I've been around the game a long time. That doesn't mean everything. I always looked at the coaching side of things when I was actually playing, of different coaches and what they were doing and what sessions they were doing. I was always interested in that as well. But sometimes you got to make a decision. If you're trying to play too much football, you might have to change your ways of playing to win games. It's grand in academy football that you're still developing the players and you're asking them to play from the back and you're asking them to do this, and it's grand to make mistakes because they have to learn, they have to make mistakes. But in first team football, as last year we learned, is that when you make mistakes you get punished. So
well sure, Colin, sorry, on that, we had Dean Kiley on there. You could even see that with Ireland. Like, Ireland did change their style of football to a larger extent. They stopped playing out from the back at times during that campaign. Things change.
So I think for me is that sometimes you might have to do it. If it's not working, you might have to change it. And then if the players get a few results and confidence comes back, then you can slowly bring that back into your style of play. But it's I know some managers can be can be stubborn and they can say, listen, no, this is the way we're playing and I'm not changing it. But if you're not getting the results, and this is just from my point of view, you might have to change the system. You might have to change something to get those results.
When you mentioned the coaches, what coaches had an effect on you? Because you had such a good career as well, and the ones that maybe still stick in your mind on certain mornings.
On certain mornings.
As you get up out of bed, you're thinking of your old coach.
I've worked under a lot of good managers. There is a lot of them. It's just everybody was different. I just, over in England, how professional they were and the way they put on their sessions and how everything was recorded, your strength and conditioning coaches, your sports science. But listen, obviously coming back over here, we don't have as much as they have over there. So we sometimes gotta adapt to the staff that we have and might be double job in around the place. But that's just the way we are and that's what we do. But I'd like to think that we give all the players here in Cork City the best opportunity to go on and have, not even for Cork City, to go on and have the best career that they can have. There's a lot of players here that played with Cork City and went on to be international players.
Yeah, and I think, Colin, like you mentioned that the demands of the job are slightly different here, as you mentioned, because you have to double job and do a lot more. And I know it's at the Premier Division level, but a big interest this year is going to be Damien Duff, a former international teammate of yours, going into senior management. What do you make of him going into it, stepping into it? Are you as interested as everyone else to sort of see how he gets on?
I think it's great for Duffer to go in. He's a fantastic coach. He's a great fella. I think it'll be good. Listen, we're playing him on the 11th of February, so we'll see him then. But no, it's great. International player, probably one of the best players that I played with. He was brilliant. And it's great to see him. Great to see him in the league. And great to see him coaching. And the lads up in Shells will probably look at him and listen, feed off the experience that he has, and they learn from him and hopefully they go on to be better players.
Because it is one of the points that I think Johnny makes here a lot, is at the moment there's no Republic of Ireland born manager managing in the 4 leagues in England. Yet you do see John O'Shea has been an assistant, and Stephen Reid, and there's a variety of others in various roles. And I think even a couple of years back the FAI brought a number of ex-players in, I think including yourself, to work with the underage teams at various levels. Would you be hopeful in the decade ahead that we're going to see a lot of your generation come to the fore, if you know what I mean, in terms of major coaching roles? Because it did seem it's gone quiet. It went quiet there for a while, but it does seem a lot of your generation are quite motivated to push on with it.
If for me is that I went in and I learnt my trade. I went in with the academy for 2 or 3 years. I went in and worked with Tom Moan in the Irish under-19s for probably over 2 years, and I was doing my learning with them. I was learning off Tom and the way he was dealing with the international players, and I could bring that back into the academy in Cork. Sometimes in the academies you can make mistakes, but people don't see it. And then when you come into first team football, you probably look back and I can't do that because that doesn't work. And it's just dealing with players. You look at a lot of players, John O'Shea, as you said, Stephen Reid, Andy Reid, obviously he's in Nottingham Forest, and all these lads are going in at 23s, and obviously a system. I suppose other side they're learning their trade. I mean, they could be there for 5 or 6 years, whatever in the role they have, and who's to say they don't go on and be first team managers. But I don't know, sometimes it's that just because you played football, jumping straight in, sometimes it doesn't work.
Sometimes it doesn't work. And if you are new to the First Division next season, you'll have Colin Healy taking on John Caulfield, the old Cork City manager of Galway United. Then you have Waterford back in the First Division, a local Munster derby. So we are doing our bit for Rural Ireland. Finally, Colin, I have to ask you, your fellow Cork man, Roy Keane's become a bit of an Instagram hero of late. Is that the route you're going to go down now for 2022 to promote Cork City?
I'm not on social media, so no, I won't be doing that.
That does not surprise me at all, actually. That does not surprise me.
It's not surprising to me.
Yeah, and he's absolutely right. Colin, it's been brilliant having you on.
No worries, lads, no worries.
That was Colin Healy. And as I mentioned, there's a lot going on in the First Division this season. Galway United, Cork City, Waterford will be the 3 teams, I guess, expected to do well.